I don't know about you, but one of my most anticipated films coming out this year is Brightburn. Out of all the comic book movies we're going to be seeing, with Captain Marvel having come out, Shazam about to come out, which I've seen and it's great, with Spider-Man Far From Home, Avengers Endgame, Joker. I mean, there are a ton of comic book related properties coming out this year. And so I'm actually really excited to see Brightburn kind of take on the concept and flip it on its ear, especially coming from the weird mind of James Gunn. Now, James Gunn himself didn't really write this movie. He is one of the people credited with coming up with the concept, and his cousins actually wrote the script while a friend of his directed the movie. Kind of like how we did the Belko Experiment, where he wrote it, produced it, but a buddy of his directed the movie, and that itself was actually pretty solid. I quite liked the Belko Experiment when it came out a couple of years ago. But this movie to me looks like it's going to be just super wild and super crazy, all while absolutely taking the origin story of Superman and just flipping it on its head, which is either going to be really good or really bad. In fact, a lot of people I've seen online talk about this go, "Oh, I don't like it. I don't want to see it. I don't, because they don't want to see the concept of Superman being messed with, especially now that James Gunn is over at DC and working on Suicide Squad 2. I kind of wonder if Warner's is going to be a little bit pissed off at him for this one, or if they've just, went, oh, it's opening up against Aladdin coming out at the end of May, of course, following Pikachu and John Wick 3 and Avengers Endgame. Nobody's going to go see this movie, so they're ultimately not going to care. But I wanted to do a kind of a breakdown. I look at the trailer and look to see what the new extended trailer is going to show us here. So jumping over to the screen, what we open with here is just a little shot, very reminiscent of Zack Snyder's opening film, obviously from James Gunn here. Elizabeth Banks looking lovingly at her child, like, "I love you, Brandon. I love you. You're my little boy. You're my boy Blue. You're my boy Blue. You're never gonna do anything bad in this world." As every mother looks at their child like that. And again, all tons and tons and tons of foreshadowing here. Him like, "I just want to be a good boy." But I like this shot because it's obviously from the beginning of the film and totally reminiscent of Superman. I mean, everything about this. I don't even know how they. To be fair, I don't even really know how they got around certain copyright. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Warner Brothers was pushing back on this a little bit, given how much or how closely this thing actually resembles the origins of Superman. But we can see here it's the Briar residence. It's clearly a farm. There's the house. There's the barn. There's a couple silos over there. Gee, I wonder if it's similar to the Kent residence. I mean, that's not coincidental at all. Of course, house crashes. This is kind of this. I like the way this looks again, because if you go back to the 1978 Superman, even the 2000 Smallville show, when they showed the meteor strike on Smallville that brought down this particular capsule Superman in it, it was during the day. The original 78 movie was during the day. This is at night in the forest, the fog, the foliage. So obviously setting the mood right off the bat, which I actually really like. Elizabeth Banks here holding a little boy like, oh, honey, you remember how I'm infertile and how I just can't have any child whatsoever? Yeah, we're doing it now. We're doing it now, guys. This is happening. See, this is the thing. This is where the marketing of the movie gets me a little bit odd. Is it's from James Gunn, visionary filmmaker behind Guardians of the Galaxy, but they are absolutely not going to be mentioning Dawn of the Dead, Scooby Doo, Slither, Super, Belko Experiment. Like they want to focus on getting people in butts and seats based off of the whole aspect involving this particular film. Now, what you got to remember too about this is that James Gunn actually didn't go to Comic-Con last year to promote Brightburn because he was scheduled to be there simply because of the controversy that had erupted a week before, causing him to get fired from Disney. Now that he's back with Disney, now that this movie's coming out, he's in a good position career-wise. But this movie, I think, is being dumped on Memorial Day by Sony because they're trying to get it out, get whatever money they can from the fans, and then hopefully move on with their day. Now, Again, we see the Brightburn logo here. We're seeing Brandon Breyer, B and B. That is his name. That's his superhero logo, so to speak. And I have to admit, actually, I think it's pretty cool. I think the logo is pretty cool. I think that's how they're going to incorporate it into his outfit's going to be pretty cool. And it does have some kind of, some iconography like that comes from being a hero. It's something you would see. It just, again, I actually, as far as like creepy superhero things go, I actually really enjoyed this particular shot. And I mean, we see him here. He is effectively a loner, not a lot of friends, sitting there just scribbling in his notepad. Kind of the key traits of a sociopath or a psychopath, one might argue. But again, setting up just the fact that this kid's a loser and a loner, and no one around school likes him. We see him here getting picked on by a bunch of kids. Well, actually, this particular shot shows that it's one of those trust experiments, but they're going to be tormenting him. I think that's what happens when he falls. And he's clearly, they're indicating that he's wounded, but it's more of a wounded emotionally than it is physically, because we know that this kid can actually be injured. But he's just like, they treat him like crap, so his feelings get hurt, because even though Superman is made of steel and cannot be harmed due to the powers he receives from Earth's yellow sun, he's still got emotions and he's got feelings, man. So this is one of the situations where that's going to play out as well. The little girl here is like, you could tell clearly she doesn't like him. Clearly she's one of the ringleaders that's been picking on him. And the coach is telling her, hey, get him up there. But I like this here because he gets that, right as he grabs her, that she's going to get injured, right? It's like that whole, oh, let me help you up reluctantly because I'm told to by this coach. And then he just grips her hand and she's like, oh my God, it hurts. No, the pain. Because a little kid like that's got a pretty serious grip. I'm just saying, it's a good thing the whole body is made like that. And here's the dad, Jonathan Kent type, going like, our boy might have a little bit of problems. Clearly he hurt people. Clearly there's something here that's happening. It's always one person that knows that there's a problem. And I don't think he's going to survive the movie, if I'm being honest with you. And of course, Elizabeth Banks is like, no, he's fine. He's fine. This shot I really like, considering that it's like, oh, I'm going to put my hand in this mower to see what happens here. And just obviously no damage. And here we get that realization of, oh, I'm invincible. Nothing can harm me. Nothing can hurt me. I am God, essentially, which is how I view this scene, especially that right there, that little smirk right there. That little smirk to me is everything you need to know about who this kid's going to be. And I just like that. And I also kind of wonder if that's CG, because looking at his one half face is perfectly still and he gets that little smirk. I'm wondering if they just made that smile a little bit to indicate the crazy, which again, very much sets up the entire point of this particular movie. There's another smirk there. Now she's starting to kind of realize, obviously it's impacting their marriage, setting here for Memorial Day. And I just like to point out too, Memorial Day weekend traditionally is a dead weekend. Solo last year crashed and burned on Memorial Day. Movies before it have crashed and burned on Memorial Day. And this movie is going to be opening up against Aladdin, right? Which is a Disney film that is probably set to crash and burn on Memorial Day. But now there was another trailer I saw with this particular woman. I think this is the mom of one of the girls who picks on him. And she's a waitress and everything. And it's pretty dope. I like this whole setup here because she's closing down the shop. She turns around and then you see all of his logo scribbled all over there, using his frost breath to freeze everything, to make it foggy. And of course, no one is going to be able to see inside, and she's not going to be able to see outside in order to call for help. I think that's pretty cool. I think that looks pretty great. And again, really, one of the vibes I get from all this is like the Blair Witch Project, when they go further out into the woods and they find all the little dolls in the tree. I like that. Never mind. Also, you have the closed sign is up right now. So obviously no one is coming to rescue this woman. She is entirely screwed. Okay, look, there's a blinking light. Let me just do that. Now this is wicked that this is in the trailer, showing you the level of violence this movie's going to go down, because she's got a piece of glass stuck in her eye. And then what I love is that she pulls it out and then it shows us her vision, her point of view. Now, this to me is spectacular because they're showing us the point of view here. She's looking around. Obviously, she's in pain. Obviously, she doesn't quite know where things are, what's going on around her, and she's trying to get her bearings. But it brings us, the audience, right in that mode, right in that moment where you don't quite know, especially right there, because you see the outline of him through like the half vision that's blood. And I don't know if that's symbolic with the idea that he's still kind of grappling with his own self, because obviously the kid's going to be going through some hormonal problems. He just happens to turn homicidal. And just, she's like, who is there? Who's out? Let me get the bat. Cause the bat's clearly going to stop anything. But then runs and hides. And again, pulling out the laser eyes right here to chop out, to pull out the door is just great and everything. And then just looking at him like this is wicked. I love the look of the mask there, right? Like, oh, he's covering up who he is. He's covering up his identity. He doesn't need to. Now, that's my question, though. What is going to be the psychology of using the mask? This kid is indestructible. This kid is clearly homicidal. This kid clearly is a sociopath and a psychopath. So why the need to cover the mask? Or cover his face with the mask? That's something I've been trying to kind of wrap my head around a little bit, too. Just that's pretty cool. And then he just grabs her right there. Again, another Zack Snyder establishing shot. This is one of the ones that a little bit on the nose, but I think it also works for what they're trying to do with it, considering the fact that Man of Steel was considered grimdark by a few people's standards, and the way Zack Snyder shoots things, it kind of makes sense that it's on the nose like this. The sheriff, obviously, hey, someone's dead, where's your boy type moment. We've seen these in these movies before. Finding the notepad, and there's the entire logo. But I love that there, where it's all the bodies and him in his costume above them. It is very much a god complex. This boy realizes that everyone around him is clearly a toy to be played with, clearly an ant and an insect to be stepped upon. And that kind of power, that's what's going to be freaky about this movie. It's going to be, it's going to be that take on the Superman idea that what if Superman was evil? And I know there's been takes of that before, but here they're giving it to us in an R-rated film, which is pretty good. Got to admit that. Now, I like this here where we've got the crash in Brightburn, but here's the thing. This look at where they are. They're at the Breyer residence. And that's why I think this shot is actually at the end of the movie. I think this is at the end of the movie. I think this is the last part of the movie. I think he legitimately brings down a jetliner on his mother's house, because we see the silos in the corner. We see the house all torn up. We see everything there. We see, this shot right there of his logo, of the Brightburn logo. And then here he is sitting there looking calm and collected, dusty and destroyed, eating a snack. And from there, he's going to go and live with a foster family. I'm thinking this is like one of the last shots of the movie. If I'm being honest with you, I think this is one of the last shots of the film. And I say that because you've got like this scene here with a guy who, this guy is going to be somebody. Either I noticed he's got the wedding band on his finger. He could be one of the parents of the children that messed with him. He could be the husband of the waitress that he killed. And this is just happening at the same time with him going and taking out both of these people, or whatever. Because he is wearing the exact same clothes. But then I like here, he's got the laser eyes. This could be what takes down the plane. Although the shirt he's wearing here is a little bit different than what he was wearing at the end. So probably not. And then, the mom's all trying to talk with him. Now, I like that shot with it going down, with him lifting the truck and then crashing it, because it's going to make it look like an accident, I think. And that actually works out well for what I think the kid's going to try to do. Okay, but here we have the house. Here we have the police cars. Okay, so obviously something's happened. By this point in the movie, I'm going to think that the dad's dead. And, the police realize that this kid is the problem. And they're coming over. So the cop cars are there. He's at the house. And it's going to be bad things going in and out. Because I think that's right, pretty much where the dad dies. Now, the mom's trying to get away. Here come the two cops. Now we see here, this is probably before the shot of him floating. But the house has already been destroyed. Now he gets him right there. She screams. And then now she's inside the house, right? The cop's inside the house. She's looking. We see the two cop cars that are right outside there. This is where he's going to be floating down before he gets her, before he does whatever, because she's going to You know, Elizabeth Banks is underneath the thing. She's looking around and then just grabs her, gets her, you know, and then of course does that and goes through the thing again. And that's pretty much like where things are at in this regard, because what you're looking at here is like, again, he's going to take out the cops. He's going to go for her. She's going to have to find a way to essentially take him out. And I don't know where Brightburn is going to go in the end. I think he's going to take the jetliner down. I think he's going to kill his mom. He's going to kill his dad. He's going to kill the cops. He's going to wipe away any evidence of anything that he's done. And ultimately, it's going to end up being this kind of mess, this kind of movie that ends on a cliffhanger. Like, what if Superman was a sociopath, but he was able to erase anyone who even remotely picked up on who he was, and he was able to kind of walk amongst us completely unseeming, you know, non-seen, you know, he's just nondescript, just another person out there until he wants to wear the mask and cause more chaos. And that's going to open up the door, I think, for maybe Brightburn 2, because someone's going to have to be able to come and finally take him out. What's his weakness going to be? That's the thing. If there's no weakness in the movie, if there's no weakness on the character, that's going to be a problem, I think. So if they just have him be this like all-powerful god character that terrorizes his mother in the small town, it may not have a long-lasting impact. But if it actually ends up doing it well, it could be a pretty interesting cult hit with a lot of people and really open up the door to Hollywood to kind of tell us, what if these superheroes were bad stories? Which could be interesting if done from more of a satiristic or parody perspective. But anyway, I'll leave it to you. Do you think Brightburn is going to be a good movie, a bad movie, somewhere in between? Let me know your thoughts below. If you haven't already, thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, and check back often for more content. My name is Matt Jarbo. This has been 3 Buck Theater. Have yourself a great day, guys, and peace out.